that is, we should be intelligent. That is part of who a high net worth educator is. Don't mind me, I think I need a drink of water here. So you have great value. People know that, oh, you are skilled, you are this, you are that. But not only do they know the things that you can do, or they see the value that you give, but you obviously have the mastery. You know something, there's something called imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome comes from not being sure of oneself, not feeling qualified for who you are or the opportunities that come your way. But the truth is, a good way to also fight that imposter syndrome is gaining mastery. When you have a certain level of mastery, you will be able to speak from that place. Years ago, I also had to deal with that until a couple of years ago when I had to figure out, okay, I never had this imposter syndrome before. When did it start? Where did it come from? But you see, before I got to that point, I was in a session one day. Of course, I learned to always put my best foot forward, even when the voices at the back of my mind were saying, you're not good enough, you can't do this. What if people find out you're a fluke? What if people find out you don't really know what you think you know, or what you say you know, or what they think you know? But I would always go out anyway because I felt I had no option. I had to show up. Then in a session one day, somebody said something and said that no matter the voices in your head telling you that you are not good enough, telling you that you're a fluke, telling you that you cannot do this, tell yourself that you're going to do it anyways. One. But the one that set me free was when the person said, you need to understand that you have had a lot of experiences. And so when people call you up, when they invite you to places, what they want to hear is your experience. So they are paying for your experience. And that totally set me free. I don't know why I'm talking about the imposter syndrome right now, because it's not on my slides, it's not in my notes to address that today. But I believe it will set somebody free as well. So what people are paying for, what people are inviting you to speak about, what people want to hear from you is your experience. They want to learn about that thing from your angle. And I dare say that is why you are here today. Because you feel this person has a different angle to this. I want to hear what she has to say. And so as a high net worth educator, the first thing you need to have is value. You need to give people value. If you're asking people to partner with you, to listen to you, to watch your video, to read your chat or your message, or even to pay you for a service, then the onus is on you to give value. Good value, premium value. I have had different training sessions. I've paid different coaches at different points for different aspects of my life. But there's a lady I respect so much because of the value that she gives. For years, I followed her. I joined her free classes weekly. A lot of other coaches, when they give free classes, you wouldn't really learn anything until you join the paid class. But with this lady, both paid classes and free classes had value to give. And so, till today, she has my utmost respect as a coach. High net worth educator. Before you can ask a school to pay you a certain amount of money, you must have the value that is commensurate to what you're asking for. You want to live where you are, for instance, for a better paying job. Before you can do that, you have to work on yourself. Because the skills that you have right now, the skills that got you the current job and that sustain you in that current role, they are not sufficient to take you to a higher level. They would only help you to get something in the same range as where you are right now. You want to go higher, you want to do better, then you need to work on your value quotient. We're talking about a lot of quotients today. Emotional quotient and then value quotient. You need to work on the value that you give people. Are we getting me? Then secondly, you have to come to a place of mastery. What are you giving people? I do a lot of things. I have a lot of skills. And I can teach a lot of things. But in the last few months, or over a year, I began to search myself. I began to pray and ask God, in which area exactly should I focus? When the Networth Educator first came, it was last year. This course should have premiered last year, last October. But I had a lot of other things coming, a lot of other training sessions, and I was fully booked. But when I went back to it again at the towards the end of last year, coming into this year, about to start, make flyers and all that, I had the option of, as a matter of fact, there's a second course that's supposed to launch tomorrow that I put on hold for this one. Because this resonated deeply with who I am, with my journey as an educator, and with what I believe God has called me to do, which is to help other educators gain mastery, become people of value. And so, in the same way, as we journey on, because this is a journey, this is just like the beginning of the journey. Some of us will decide to continue our journey on our own, which is completely fine by me. Some will decide that they want to journey with me, which is also okay. I saw some people on the group talking about mentorship. That is an option that is also available. But whether you decide to journey on your own or you decide to journey with me, I can assure you that you will get a direction, sort of a compass today to tell you the next step to take, so that you can gain the mastery needed to become a person of influence. I was speaking with a school leader towards the end of last year, a global school leader. And one of the things the person said to me was, you have a lot of influence in the education sector. You have paid your dues. You have your own tribe. And as the person said it to me, it dawned on me truly that for everything I learn, for every part of my journey, I am able to pull a lot of people along with me. So think about it. Right now, what influence do I have? Where do I have the influence? Please write it down. What influence do I have? Where do I have the influence? We'll still come back to it. So now let's talk about how you can be this high net worth educator. The high net worth educator is a four-way individual, a four-way leader. What do I mean? This person has learned to lead in four different directions. Number one, he has learned to lead himself or herself. That's the first thing. If you do not know how to lead yourself, then you cannot get out of where you are. If you do not know how to work on your weaknesses, work on yourself, work on your strength, develop your areas of opportunities, and find a way to minimize your threats, you are not going to be able to become that high net worth educator. Remember our first task, right? Part of our first task was to carry out a personal SWOT analysis, because you needed to know yourself. In emotional intelligence, there are five forms or five ways to emotional intelligence. The very first one is awareness. William Shakespeare says, "To thyself be true." In another way, he says, "Know thyself," in one of his books. You have to know yourself. What am I good at? What do I do well? What is it that I manage to do, but somebody else could do way better? When you know that kind of thing, then you outsource. Get somebody to do it for you. Depending on what we are talking about here. If it's in school, for instance, you know that you are not strong in a particular topic in the subject that you teach, but the other subject teacher is stronger. Could you please mute your mics? There's a feedback somewhere. So there's somebody else who is stronger than you are in this particular topic, even though you are both. Let's take math for instance. You are a math teacher, there's another math teacher in the school, but you realize that this person is stronger, say in geometry, than you are. Instead of struggling to teach the learners geometry, you could arrange with that teacher to teach geometry each time it comes up in your topic, and then you teach something else for that teacher. That's knowing yourself in practical terms in the classroom. You also need to know your triggers. What are the things that can get you angry? What are the things that can make you misbehave? What is a deal breaker for you? For instance, you work in an organization. Could you please mute your mic? Mr. Emmanuel, thank you. So, you work in an organization, for instance, and you know that you do not joke with your money. And then management announces if you come late, salaries will be deducted. And then you go late, and you are now fighting HR or admin for making deductions in your salary. No, that is a lack of self-awareness. You already know that you do not joke with money. So when that rule was made, you should have come up with strategies to make you avoid going late, because you know that you cannot stand for your money to be deducted. So the number one way is that you will lead yourself, and we're going to talk about that further. The second way, remember we talked about the 4 ways. So way 1 is leading oneself. Way 2 is leading upward. What do I mean? Leading your line manager. That might sound funny, but it's not. You are not telling your line manager this is the way to go, but you are showing the way of leadership. Your line manager knows that he or she cannot afford to sleep or snooze, because if he or she does that, this person is going to overtake. I have worked with my leaders before that they would say, oh, there's always something new to learn from you, even though they are my leaders. Please mute your mic. I have a school leadership mentor who says that I give her a run every time, because I do not stop learning. I do not stop developing myself. And the interesting part is that I also make it a point to help other people develop, which is the third way, leading downwards. So you pull other people up. You help other people learn what you're learning. You show them the way that you are going. Not because you want to lord it over them, but out of a genuine heart and desire to help. So number 1, you lead yourself. Number 2, you lead upward. That means that you're a goal-getter, you're an extra miler, you give your best at all times. You are not a quitter. When challenges come, you find a way around resolving the issues. And then, number 3, you lead downwards. So the people around you, okay, let's still use the school as an example. So in the school, you're a class teacher, you have an assistant teacher. Do you leave the assistant teacher to only mark every day? Or do you show the person how to create outstanding lesson plans, how to deliver lessons, how to carry out observations, how to prepare reports? Are you teaching that person? Are you encouraging that person to go back to school, for instance, if there's a need for that? Are you looking at the smart cleaner in your school and talking the person back to going to school? Especially once you find out that the person has good WAEC results or school living certificates. Or if the person is not able to go back to school, are you encouraging that person to become tech savvy, to gain tech skills, to learn how to use a computer? Finally, the four-way leader, the four-way individual leads sideways. You know, we have talked about leading yourself, leading upward, leading downwards, and then sideways now. When we talk about leading sideways, this has to do with your colleagues, people on a similar level. They might not even be in your section of the school, they might not even be in your department, but when there is a challenge, you step up, you rise up to the challenge. When you learn something, you share best practices with them. Because your mindset is not one of competition, but one of collaboration. I know that over time, life has taught us to be defensive, to fight, to make it look as if I am the only one for me. There is a place for I am the only one for me in quotes, which is watching out for your own interest, which is perfectly fine. But if you really want to go ahead, you need to learn how to go with others. There's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And so the four-way individual, the four-way educator, the four-way leader understands that I must also lead sideways. I must collaborate, I must share best practices, I must take feedback from other people without feeling intimidated. Now let's go back to number one. This is the meat of where we are going today. Focusing on number one, you need to understand your currency. What do I mean? What do you have to give people? What is that thing you have that is the value that people are looking for? Let's talk about assets. When I talk about assets, I'm referring to your skill sets. That's the skills that you have. What can you do very well? What is it that if you wake you up from sleep today, you can teach, you can share? As a school owner, what makes you stand out? What is the selling point of your school? As a matter of fact, why did you start a school? Did you start your school because everybody else started a school? Did you start because you retired from, say, a bank, an oil company, and you needed a place to invest for returns? Did you start a school because you wanted to make money? You felt it's a veritable business, a viable one? School leader, teachers, online tutors, lecturers, what are your assets? So ask yourself and reflect. You may not have the time to answer all these questions now, but after this session, I want you to make sure that you take the time to answer all the questions. What am I really, really good at? What defines me? What kind of school owner or school leader I am? Am I the which type of school leader or school owner? Somebody who picks on others, who is looking for their fault, who makes life unbearable for them because you feel I did not have it easy, so they should not have it easy. If they have it easy, they will not be serious. That's an archaic way of thinking. That's witchcraft. I beg your pardon for that. What are your assets? What do you do effortlessly? What do you do well? What do you have to offer people? That's currency one you should think about. Currency two, what is my network? Who are the people surrounding me? Who do I have in my network? If you scroll through your phones, what kind of individuals have their contacts stored on your phone? Who do you call your professional friends, your colleagues? Who do you rub minds with? There's a saying that if there are five poor people around you, you are the sixth person. There is also a saying that you'll be like the five people surrounding you. There's a way it is said, like you are an aggregate of the five people around you. In other words, your network determines your net worth. And remember, we want to increase our net worth. So if your network is not the high net worth, then my dear, you need to create another network. You need to deliberately and strategically position yourself in the kind of network that attracts what you're looking for. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Some of these networks cannot be joined free of charge. You need the gift of access. That gift, even though it's a gift of access, that gift can be bought with money. Not that you are dashing the person money, but let me give an example. The person has a course. The person launches a course. You buy that course. Chances are the person will notice you after a while. If the person doesn't notice you, you gain access to the person's premium programs. You gain access to discounts from that person. You gain access to being mentored by that person. I can give you examples of people that I now have in my net worth and my network today who I did not have years ago. And meeting them, becoming a part of their circle, started with signing up for a program or a course with them. There are some that I signed up for a program with them, and we may not be close, but I have some access. I have the person's phone number. This is somebody that people will see online. I'll be shouting, oh, this man. But I have the man's phone number. And from time to time, when there's a need, I chat the person up. I don't have to go through his PA. Why? Because I have bought his course before. I have been one-on-one in a course where there are only about 10 of us in his room, so he knows my name. I have been privileged to have lunch with another very high net worth, earning in 7-figure dollars coach before, because I paid for a program. There are some that you get for free, but let me tell you the truth. The ones that have that free program and allow you to come into the free program, you will be in what we call the outer courts. Like one of the 120 disciples for those that are Christians. You'll be in the compound. Then, when you pay for a particular course, maybe a general course, you can come into the house. But for you to come into their study, for them to open their planners to you, open their diaries, show you their books, you may have to pay for a premium course. I have paid for courses before that. My heart was bleeding as I was paying, because I was paying with half of a salary, a third of my salary. And I'll be like, God, I'm in your hands for the rest of the month. But you see, after a while, it began to pay off. Now, this part is for those who want to change their network. It is not compulsory. Some of us are fine with our network. But believe me, that your network is your currency. I was somewhere today, and I had like 3 different ladies walk up to me and say, Coach, good afternoon. I did not know them. We were also in a place because we qualified for something. These ladies are not small ladies. And you're coming, Coach, good afternoon. Coach, I'm greeting you. One, I didn't even know I was the one. So I looked away and she said, Coach, you're the one I'm greeting. I came up to you. I have been in spaces before where people would mention my name in full, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I say, yes, we've not met before, but I follow you on XYZ. I have gained value for this. Now, that is personal branding. So you can change your network so that your currency will increase. You are not trying to use those people. You are actually learning from them. But you see, as you are learning from them, you are coming closer. And so some of their learning, some of their network is rubbing off on you. I was leaving my son's school early this morning after a parents' event. As I made to get into my car, somebody called me by my first name, and I looked. The person that called me is an owner of a foundation. And I called her by first name too. Why? Because we had met in an inner circle somewhere. But you see, when you now want to up your network, you need to also know that you will have to work on your personal branding. You cannot dress anyhow. You cannot come online and your background is anyhow. You cannot post trashy content on social media. Your branding must match who you want people to see. Your branding must match the network. It must match or complement the assets. It will speak to who you are. Thank you. Please mute your mic. Thank you for joining. I think I'm dwelling too much on this part, on currency. But it's very important. Your personal branding will say a lot. And personal branding is beyond your logo, is beyond the colors that you use on your brand. It is how you position yourself. And you need clarity to build your brand. So, you need to understand your currency and you need to improve on your currency. You need to invest in you, invest in yourself. Develop a culture of continuous learning. Who do I want to become? Okay, then I need to do course XYZ, course XYZ, course XYZ. I need to do a short course here. I need to learn here. For 2024 and 2025, I have my focus on courses I want to do, programs I want to get involved in. Just as I also have clarity on the kind of content I am putting out based on the programs I am offering to people. There are free ones and there are those that are paid. This number 3 that I call community service is not that you are going outside to sweep or rake leaves in any compound or in any street. It's talking about giving back to others. For years and years, I have constantly done that, giving back to others, and I still continue to do it. If we watch what I posted on the group, I showed the training that I did on Friday in school. My people have gotten maybe tired or used to it, but they have come to realize that you are not getting this, you get trained for it. You will not be insulted for it. You will not be castigated for it. If it is a training I can offer you, I will do that as the head. If it's training that has to be taken externally, I would recommend you to the school. You also need to give. It may not be to people on social media. It could be going the extra mile for your learners. During the night, you can imagine around 1 a.m., an old parent chatted me up based on my post about today's class to say well done and wish me well. Now, her daughter is in 100 level now. I taught that child in year 6. During Teacher's Day, that parent sent me 2,000 naira worth of credits. The child was already, had just finished SSC by that time. So that was 6 years after. What made her think of me? When that child got into year 6 was when I started teaching the child English. And I discovered that the child had struggles with spelling. The child struggled terribly with spelling. And so she came to me. I talked about it. So if you have any challenges, you can always come to me. So she came with her friend and said, Ms. Babatunde, please, can you help me? I want to be better in my spelling. I really loved that. I asked them, who asked you to talk to me? He said, nobody, but you said that we can come to you if we need help with anything. And so we would like to be better in our spelling. Now, I had not told them that their spellings were horrible, both of them. I just minted in their notes that they need to work on their spellings. It went from when you say, this your spelling is horrible. Year 6. And so, because of the fact that they even took ownership for it, I didn't bother inviting their parents for a chat or anything. I took it upon myself to hold special spelling classes with them, I think 2 or 3 times a week. And it really helped. They improved drastically. But what's the moral in this story? That parent called me to say that her daughter said I had been giving them free extra classes in spelling, herself and her friend. And so the mom called to know the financial implication of the classes. I told her I wasn't going to bill her for it. That I love the fact that they took ownership and came to me, and so I was giving the service free. From that class, for years after Teacher's Day, I would get something from this parent. On and on and on. And so it gave me a different value before that parent. That's an example of community service. It's not every child that is struggling that you tell the school the parents must pay, or that you tell the parents, I want to do lesson, I'll come to your house. Especially if that child has been in your school all along. Now, when you understand your currency, then you can begin to look for return on investment. Remember, I mentioned how I would pay for courses, I will pay for trainings, I will pay for programs, and I will feel it. I'll feel the pinch in my pocket. But after a while, I began to get a return on investment. I began to get invited for programs, for trainings. I've been invited for trainings before, but the fee is now different. You want me to come for a day? Okay, this is my bill for a day if I am doing so number of hours in your school. This is my fee for a day if I am doing so number of hours. And these are the things that I will do. And when I come, I deliver value. Remember, I've worked on myself. I deliver value, and they give me my money. No argument. Because they got the value that they were paying for. For some, in fact, 2024 now, I want to even take the step further and say, okay, you pay full before I come. But maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should do part payments like some people have done. So, what am I saying? When you have worked on all those three I mentioned in understanding your currency, please mute your mic. Then you can begin to experience financial freedom. You can wake up one morning and feel, I need money. Then you remember, okay, this school asks for a quote. You prepare the quote, you send to them, you send the bill, and by the end of that day, you have an agreement. You are smiling to the bank, or by the end of the week or days later. Please mute your mic, madam. Thank you. Why am I able to now start talking about, oh, this is what I charge for a day, this is what I charge for 2 hours? Because over time, I have now built a respected brand. Osazu Walidia, please mute your mic. Just click on the icon of a mic and it goes off. Alright, so once you have built a respected brand, the financial freedom is also there, then you begin to experience fulfillment and your impact increases. So you need to start somewhere. In the same way, for my school owners on the call, if you are given value as a school, you know the strength of your school. The strength refers to, we are talking about your currencies now. So, you know what your school is good at. Some schools, their strength is science. For some, it's math. For some, it's literacy. For some, it's in winning competitions. It's in maybe developing life skills, for instance. You already know your value, the value that you have to give. And then as you work on those things, please mute your mic. Your mic is still on. So as you work on all these things, your school is known for something. That's your school's brand. You begin to connect with your parents in different ways. I don't want to talk so much on that part for the school because it is part of a paid option. But as a school, you need to belong to a network. Different kinds of network of schools, and then communities where you can have access to your ideal clients, to your parents. So you too, you begin to experience ease in your finances. You become a respected brand, there's fulfillment, and you make more impact. So as I begin to round off today, you are going to create your leadership, your growth map or your growth charts. We started with igniting your leadership potential, which we have talked about. But going forward, this is just a part of a 6 weeks paid mentoring program. where we can actually deep dive. We have practical tools. You have a supportive community. You can empower yourself and others by making a difference through education. There is that free community. You get tips regularly. Those who know me will attest to the fact that when I get something, I would always share with my community, with my people. Now I am putting a structure to it. There's more organization. And so to help you scale up in 2024 and in years to come, I am offering a 6-week paid mentoring program. 6 weeks, what am I offering you? You get 5 weeks of mentoring where we have sessions. The sessions will be on Telegram, so you can always go back to them. And there's a certificate at the end. You have 5 weeks of the teaching, of the lessons, of the sessions. And then there's 1 week where you will carry out a project. I'll share the task with you. So you carry out the project task. You will prepare a report and submit. It's not beans. We are not playing here. We are serious. Okay? And that's why I kept following up, for instance, before the program, that we should do our tasks. It's not just about, hey, let me hear. What is the Networth Educator about? How can I make more money? When you are on the paid program, we'll talk about how you can make money. Yes. So in the 5 weeks, we will look at these topics that are put here. They are just themes. We'll talk about personal vision. We'll talk about connecting to teachers. That's about your teaching skills. Now, as a school, we are talking about your personal vision as the school owner. We're talking about how teaching and learning can be better in your school. We're talking about personal effectiveness and branding for you as an individual. And then for those that are school owners, for their schools as well. Then, in week 4, we are talking about cultivating ownership for those that are school leaders, educators, who work under somebody. And then for those that are school owners, school leaders, and all that, we are talking about how you can scale up your school, how you can grow your school, how you can be better, how to work on your school numbers, how to market your school. Week 5 is where we'll talk about preparing for opportunities. And see, all these things are not just about talking. They are tasks that will be done right from week 1. In week 5, you will learn how to build your portfolio, and you will build your portfolio. You will vet. And then in week 6, you now have that project task where you will report on. So, it's a 6-week program. Here is a part of the flyer and all that. We have case studies, we have interactive quizzes, group tasks, projects, and all that to be done in 6 weeks. The beautiful thing is, at the end of the 6 weeks, we have a community. For instance, those who are on the paid program will be migrated to Telegram. But those who choose to stay back will still have the community that we have now. You have that community. It may not always be free and open for chats. We open from time to time, but there will be free sessions from time to time on that platform. There will be information about opportunities for us from time to time. Some grants that I come across sometimes I would share with us, training programs, some free, some paid, will share with us, so you are not losing out if you decide that you do not want to do the paid program. But if you want to do the paid program, I can assure you that at the end of that program, you are not going to be the same person. Okay? So what is the financial implication of this? I will highlight some of this costs. Personal effectiveness and branding is something I facilitate for separately. You know, when I was talking about, I go to schools and I tell them this is what I'm charging for this day and this is what I'm doing. A major part, half of that day, I am doing personal effectiveness and branding with the people in that session. That comes to about 20,000 per person. Cultivating ownership is usually another half. That is like 25k. If I now pick all the other ones, we are looking at like 60k altogether. But I am going to give this offer up for just 15,000 naira now. I would only launch this twice in the year. now and later in the year, which I can't guarantee yet because of the calendar that I already have. So I can't guarantee the cost when it will be relaunched. But for now, it's 15,000 naira for the 6 weeks. But for the next 48 hours, I'm going to give a special discount to those on this call to pay 11,000 naira. I will share the details on the group along with the recording of this session so people can watch and then people can sign up. The program will kick off on the 3rd of February. And trust me, you are not going to be the same at the end of this program. Okay? But back to today's class. I want you to sit down, and in the next 5 minutes, you are going to chart your growth plan. So, where am I now? What are my assets? What do I have? Okay? Who do I have around me? Do I even have a network? Some of us are good with doing solo. And so we may not have a strong network or a network that we can really count on. That has to change. And then, do I have a personal brand? If yes, what is my brand? If no, what do I want to be known for? What kind of brand do I want to build? Remember that your assets will greatly influence the brand that you build. For instance, I am an educator. I teach English. I'm a school leader. So whatever brand I'm going to build would either be in that area or in parenting, which is something I also do effortlessly. It will be strange if I now come up and say that I want to start teaching you how to use, let's see, maybe how to use physics to solve XYZ. I'm an educator, but I'm not a physics teacher. I'm not a science teacher, even though I can teach primary science very well. So, are we writing? Number one, what are my assets? You are not typing in the chat box, please. You are writing in your notebook. What are my assets? What am I good at? What do I have to offer? When we talk about what I have to offer, don't let your offer be about money first. Because as a high net worth educator, even though the temptation to think about money is high, the first thing that defines you as a high net worth educator is value. What value do you have to give? It is when the value is in place that the money will follow. Like I shared, I have been given this value for many years. I monetize maybe from time to time. But when it was time and I decided to expand my assets, I also worked on my network. Some deliberately, some I stumbled on in the place of expanding my assets. And then I began to build a personal brand. So in your notebook right now, I want you to chart out your growth plan. What are my assets? What do I need to acquire? What do I need to learn? In what areas do I need to work on myself? What do I need to improve? Remember your SWOT analysis. So refer to your SWOT analysis now, which is what I asked us to do it earlier, and the EQ test. You can see that it's already 7 o'clock. We do not have time to start doing personal SWOT analysis from scratch. So this is where that document comes in and the other tasks that we have done. Now you know your assets, you know what you want to improve, what you want to work on. Come to network. That's number 2. What kind of network do I want to build? What groups do I need to join? What courses do I need to do? What associations do I need to belong to? And then number 3, what do I want to be known for? That's your personal brand. What do I want to be known for? What are my personal life values? What defines me as a person? What are those things that people keep coming to ask me for help with? Oh, please help me with this. Can you help me with this? Sometimes I think of myself as an ideas person as well, because I get asked for ideas a lot of the time. So, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to say, okay, defines me as a person? Are we done writing these things? If you have written all the things that we have talked about, please comment in the chat box. Just comment done, because I'm going to now say the next thing. So once you have been able to write all these things, you now give yourself a target. Between now and the end of 2024, what am I working on? Good, I see one done. So now give yourself a time frame. Between now and the end of 2024, I'm going to achieve XYZ. After specifying what you want to achieve, you now break it down. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. You see, I'm not making it difficult for you. I'm not asking you to do a monthly target, because we have to take baby steps. So, in the first quarter of 2024, you can feel that 2024, January is gone. January is not gone. You still have 10 days. A lot can happen in 10 days. So, ask yourself, from all I want to achieve in 2024, what do I want to achieve in the first quarter? So what will I work on between now and the end of March? How will I know that I have made improvements? Then, between April and June, what am I working on? Between July and September, what am I working on? Then between October and December, what am I working on? Remember what I shared earlier. Don't be in a hurry to make money or to start talking about money. It's like when you want to build, you start from the foundation. So what we are doing now is laying a foundation for that building. If you are done, please comment done as well. Either done with the 3 questions or done with the growth plan. We can differentiate by saying currency done, that's understand your currency is done, and then growth plan done. I'm waiting. This is classwork now. Currency done, growth plan done. Please share in the comment section. I've only seen one done. Great. Can I get more responses? I need to be sure that you are doing your tasks. Good, Mr. Emmanuel. Good, Mrs. Amos. Anonymous, all the anonymous. I'm not sure who is who when it comes to the comment section. Beautiful. So growth plan done. Excuse me. Please keep the comments coming. Well done, Nora. Anonymous, well done. Growth plan done. Currency done. Now, this is where we call it a day. But before we go, I'd like to admonish us. That growth plan, don't abandon it. And for your own good, I advise you stay on the group so that from time to time, when you are feeling tired or you have forgotten to work on your growth plan, and I drop how is currency building or currency improvement going, you know what I'm talking about. How are you implementing your growth plan? Are you on track? Are you working on it? It gives you a boost to continue working on it. And for those who would like to sign up to my course, the 6 weeks program, I'll share the link on the group, registration link and details on the group. Remember, you have 11,000 for the next 48 hours, and then it reverts to 15,000. Classes start on the 3rd of June. And like I said on the group, I am not an easy coach. So don't feel like I've paid now, so I can decide not to do the assignment or not to show up. You will show up. You will do your assignment.